Hey, this is Sheila Griffith coming to you live from Vail, Colorado, Eagle County, beautiful mountains. And I am here with the illustrious Michele Hawkins, my new amazing close friend that I am so excited to introduce you to her amazing brilliance in acupuncture. 18 years Michele has been practicing. There's a lot about her I don't know. There's a lot about her I do know. And I brought her in to this discussion on detoxification because as we were getting to be buddies in Be Connected, this amazing platform here, we realized how much that we have in common around this subject of health and wellness. We started talking and she brought up a couple of points with the body, detoxification, Chinese medicine that I was like spot on. So we paired and partnered in this little presentation. And I'm going to pause here and let Michele's voice come into the room. And I'm so glad that you're here with me. Thanks for being here, Michele.
Thank you so much. I just want to say how much I've been enjoying getting to know you and learning from you, and sharing and comparing our knowledge base. It's just been, I don't know, really joyful for me.
Yeah.
I also appreciate how clear your teaching is. You have a real ease with it, and I so appreciate your flow with things. So I'll let you carry on with what you have planned and look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. That
you.
touches my heart. Sometimes
Oh,
I feel really focused, and other times I'm like, I'm an oak tree. So just know, you guys, I gave her permission to bring me back down from the various branches or whatever highway that I might be on. So we might be pausing each other, but probably not because we know what we're bringing here because we've both been doing this a long time. So the roadmap for the time is we're not going over about 45 minutes. We both have other things to be to. And we have about 15 slides. And we've done this without slides. And Michele was like, we need slides. You need slides. Get slides together. And then she also brought in some of the content. So some of the slides, just to head up, I might be moving, I apologize, a little bit fast through some of them because some of them are not as important, and I might bring up the slide and the visual, but then come back to us. That's really the wonder of this platform.
mm-hmm.
So just know that you can go back to the recording, know that you can come and talk to each of us. We're both practitioners in health. Michele's in Portland, Oregon. I'm in the Colorado Rockies. We're both available to be virtual. We're here to support you. So thanks for being here. Let us know any questions in the chat or after the event also. Lastly, there's links that are live now and in the recording to getting on the schedule, my 3 top tips for acid alkaline balance, and my website down there. So,
And I just want to say that acid alkaline balance is a wonderful worksheet. Really take a moment and click on it and access that.
thanks. Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
honey. I appreciate it.
certainly.
So, really, this is all around my program, really my life's work that you'll hear in a few minutes here, but around detoxification and my program, Vitality Unleashed, that I'm launching right now. It starts in about 10 days here, 2 weeks for some people. And this is a 12-week program, and a large part of it is how we naturally detoxify. So that's what we're talking about with these slides is what is detoxification in the body? Why do we want to do it? Why do we want to do it internally? Why we want to do it externally? And then from both of us, a couple of the different aspects of nutritionally with the detoxification pathway in the body. And just to go backwards again, this is really why. This is not so much how. We're both going to give you a tip or two, but it's really why do we want to do this? So we'll get started with the slides here. And Michele, just jump in, sweets, whenever you want me to refocus on something. So Vitality Unleashed, the date's not correct. It's the 18th, I think it is. So go back and check that out. Let me know if you have any questions. So really the big reason why is right here on this slide, and it's that we're not living as naturally as we used to. And there are a lot of chemical compounds in our daily life that are called xenobiotics that are causing health concerns. We're going to get in deeper into this. Michelle, anything you want to add to this?
Just that, well, as your pictures indicate, back in Egyptian days, there wasn't a lot of laboratory chemicals and pollutants going on. And now the amount of things that we're making in the laboratory and just releasing are pretty profound. And we don't even know all the effects that's going to have, but it's not good. So learning to get them back out of our system is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly the message here. So the short of it is that detoxification is releasing harmful, destructive, deadly compounds from our cells, fatty tissue, most importantly, our organs, our body systems, cytoplasmic, and what's called interstitial fluid. And we're going to talk about a lot of the different aspects of those different compounds as we go along here.
Mm-hmm.
So just know that we're going to be circling back to that in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So the systems that we're detoxifying here are our skin is our largest organ. It is a big sponge. What goes in must also come out, is all I want to say about that right now. I'm going to let Michelle jump in on whatever ones that she wants to after I go through here. Bowels, your immune system, 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your digestive tract. It is the first line of defense, the first line of support. We start there. Kidneys, we're not paying enough attention to our kidneys. There's a lot more to say. I'm just going to kind of keep that small because that one might be one Michelle might want to really talk about. And you're going to also hear a little bit more about. Liver, huge focus of mine, 300 to 500 jobs in the body. It is involved with every process, and emotionally, it's a really big driver. And then lastly, respiratory, as we all have seen in the last couple of years, what a big impact this has in our health. And I would also say it's really interrelated with a lot of other systems that we probably won't talk about today, but I just want to bring that in here. So where do you want to jump in? What's juicy for you here?
Well, a little bit of everything. I
Yeah.
think that, we hear a lot about cleanses and people do a liver cleanse, which is lovely, but it's really, I love the fact that you're doing all these body systems and really paying attention. I've seen people go, oh, I'm going to do a liver cleanse, but then they don't address the bowels. So you're getting all this stuff out of the interstitial fluid, out of, the liver, etc. But then it has to go back through the liver, which just is really hard on the body. And people go, oh, those cleanses are horrible things. They're not doing them properly or with good guidance. What's interesting for me is how important the liver really is. People come in with hay fever, they come in with fibroids, it's all liver. So lots of the things that people come in to see me about are all about liver and liver stagnation, which of course happens from not keeping it clean. So yeah, I don't want to, I'm probably going down a highway too far, but I just want to applaud you for really paying attention to all of those systems in your program and not just saying, oh, we're doing a liver cleanse, because all of these systems are so important. And in Chinese medicine, the bowels and the respiratory are actually paired organs, the large intestine and the lung, and they're both about letting go. Yes. And they're going to blow the leaves now for us out there. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, they're both about letting go and releasing, and has to do with grief. And there's so much grief going on in this world right now that really important to be focusing on those. Yeah. I'll let you carry on now.
Yeah, no, we're where we want to be, and that is exactly it. That your digestive tract has huge implications for your respiratory. Yeah, and that's deeper in my program, and so I really appreciate you bringing that in and saying it so adeptly. The before we go on to some of the external pieces, the internal piece that I do a lot of education around is what's called your P450 cytochrome pathway of detoxification. And so that's 4 different pathways. And the short of it is that we need to stir the toxins up. And this is my analogy for the short of a long, complicated process that most of us don't want to spend time in. But basically, once those toxins are stirred up, they're free radicals, right? We've all heard of free radicals, bad fats, and different things like that. And so those free radicals, they run around and they're like Pac-Man chomping up other nutrients that are supposed to be going somewhere. So you think about an oak tree and it's building a branch over here, and then some toxins, some nutrients get taken away. Well, then it struggles to keep building that branch. And so that next phase of the pathway is that you have to have the proper nutrients. And we're going to talk about, why we're missing these nutrients in more depth as we go down here a little bit later. But basically, you need the proper nutrients in phase 2, which you might not have. You might be rapidly detoxifying, which means you need more of them. And if you don't have the nutrients in phase 2, then phase 3 and 4, basically I'll sum that up with conjugation by the kidneys, they don't happen very well. So that's the big thing, and that I have been educating clients for so long as I've been teaching this and talking to my massage, Pilates, coaching clients around, why do they want to do a cleanse? Why do they want to do Vitality Unleashed with me? And that's because of really getting into these nuanced areas of how we nurture ourselves, how we get this nutrition and these amazing nutraceuticals that are food that can really support us much quicker and easier. Yeah. So,
and I wanted to point out that phase 2 that you were speaking to is phase 2 within the liver, which is, I believe, where that P450 is located. Am I correct that that's all? I'm going back in my brain a ways, but yeah. Perfect.
No worries.
I worked with somebody who explained that portion of the detox as like a pool. And so you're using that image to kind of stir things up is a great image for me. All that stuff that settles down, and you've got to bring it up so that you can filter it back out.
Yeah,
so
but
it's a great image.
Thanks, hon. And it really needs to be flushed out. And that's a lot of what is getting stagnated for people, as Michele said.
Right.
The other piece that Michele and I have talked a lot about in the past is that our bodies are meant for detoxification.
Right.
They're meant for it. We can do everything with food. They naturally detoxify. 2 other pieces of that is that this is a gigantic topic, right? So Michele and I are just going to hit in the time that we have, and in the, for you not to be overwhelmed in this humongous subject, because we're really trying to motivate you in your life, right? We're trying to educate you. We want to educate you. And we also really want to motivate you with a little bit of education on these various aspects of this. Because we know that you know so much about how to take care of yourself, and so much of it is about motivation. So I got off on a branch there. Our body's go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the motivation is important, and yet a lot of people don't want to know about the P450, etc. They just want to be told what to do. And so, they can pay attention more to the what to do part. I like to know the why and what it does. And so I'm grateful that you give a certain level of detail that I don't always get in other detox classes and things. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to overdo the science, and also it really helps people with the why. Some people, right? Some everyone's different. Right? We've got our circles, our squares, our triangles, right? So
Right.
we're trying to hit the gamut here. So fast forward if you're bored, but stay here for just 1 second. Our bodies naturally detoxify. We can do this all naturally.
Hmm.
And then the other 2 points were I forgot them. I
Well, our
did.
body can do it naturally, but we're so overwhelmed. Our body was not meant to live with so many man-made things.
Right.
Our body was made to live in nature, and we've disconnected ourselves as a
Yes.
society. And so support, giving the body extra support. Our grandparents never spoke to needing to detox, even when they were attempting to do something healthy. That I'm not sure they ever uttered that word. Even my parents, I don't think have. Whereas our generation, we have had to. We haven't had
Yes.
any choice because of non-food items in our food, let alone what all's in our air. In
Right.
Portland here, we had a glass factory of all things, had for years been releasing a bunch of toxins into the neighborhoods. And they didn't figure it out until after it'd been going on for a long time. So all those people had been exposed.
Right.
And, so we don't know what all we're exposed to and working with. So extra attention is good.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is you hit the 2 points is that it's a big subject. We're just hitting on the start of it. And we didn't used to have to focus on it. It's somewhat controversial out there of different people thinking that we need to detox or not. And I would put the case forward, and this might be a part 2 for Michele and I to go in a little bit deeper, but things that are dirty blood and mitochondrial dysfunction, right? We're speaking to those aspects when we're saying
Will you clarify
detoxification.
mitochondria?
The energy system within the cell, right? Where your energy is being created within the cell that's driving every other pathway.
Which is why so many people are so sluggish and so tired. That cellular energy is sluggish, as you put it. Yeah.
Right. They have mitochondrial dysfunction. And I think that's in another slide coming
Yeah.
up here.
Okay.
So I probably, let's go to that. We might have spoken a lot already, but we haven't. Okay. So we're really getting into the why. And I'm actually going to let Michele speak first on this one if you want to, Sunshine.
I think we have kind of a little bit spoken to it,
Yeah.
that there's the toxic overload. We've definitely spoken to that. Stress is hard on our system, and we're living in a state of chronic stress. Again, even more than even recent generations. Not many people have lived through what we've lived through lately, and everybody's having a hard time, and it really suppresses the body's immune system, making us more susceptible to the bacteria and viruses. And then put the slide back up.
Yeah. No
there was
problem.
there were 2 more.
Yep.
Oh, so the nutrient deficiency. Our food, we have changed, you can put it back down if you'd like, changed our farming practices so much that once we took the animals off the farm, that full circle of nutrition. I mean, a lot of people don't want to think about the animal feces ending up back in the soil, but that's an important, crucial part to keep all the nutrition in the soil and really good soil quality. There's actually a lot of people out there who are just trying to rebuild our soil so that we can start to get our nutrition back in. I was of the mind when I first started this nutrition path that I could eat well enough that I wouldn't need supplements. I shouldn't need supplements. I should be able to eat my greens and do my, It doesn't work that way. Some people I guess some people, they get away with it. I don't think that people have optimal health unless they're supplementing because of the micronutrients. You might get enough if you're vitamin B or something, but all of those micronutrients that we need to have, even the idea of salt, we always had sea salt, in years past, which the talk I was listening to, they said had 82 different minerals in it.
Okay.
And a lot of people use that blue container with iodized salt. So it's just 3 different items
Right.
in it. So it's just that diversity is so lacking.
Yep.
Yes. I'll let you take over.
Yeah, thanks, honey. Thanks.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about more nutrient deficiency in just a minute here. You covered that really adeptly. Bacteria and viruses. This is a big piece that I know Michele covers in her teachings, and I cover a lot because people just don't have the awareness of where things are hiding and that they're in there, and the overload, because they're not being taught and they're not being coached in there with their regular wellness practitioners unless they're going alternative for the most part. And the just critters can kind of hide in different little places. This is the main thing I want to say about this, is that like up in your cavities, up here in your face, that there's tiny little capillaries that the bacteria are in your mouth and your teeth, and they're traveling up your nerve root, and they're going up and they're hiding. And the antibiotic is a larger molecule versus the herb is a smaller molecule. And so the antibiotic can't get up there and get to it, right? So it really takes the antibiotic and your immune system. And I'm not going to get off on that tangent. We're not going there today.
Can I add to that, the idea that if we have a strong constitution, we can be exposed to viruses and bacteria and we don't take it on. There are certain people you've met, they've not had a lot of the respiratory issues that others have had, and it's because they happen to have a strong constitution. And so that's kind of the garden way of thinking. And it's lovely that we've got antibiotics in order to have a war or to fight some bacteria if needed. But really, tending the garden is a much better way to go.
Yeah, beautiful, hun. So, I teach a lot about that. We're about to kind of go into a little bit more of external coming in, and it's also internal, right? That bacterial viral load is, I know that Michele and I both coach people on how to go about the internal aspect as well as the external. And so, that's what's really important is me teaching people just in your kitchen how to do things that are going to combat when you're stressed, because a lot of times it's hard to get away from it, right? And we're trying to slow down and turn off our phones and go tech free and, spend time with our loved ones and be in our joy factor and lists and moments. And we also have to function. And so there's a lot of different, eating patterns and things that we can do right out of our kitchen or garden that are really, really supportive. And I hear that talking to people, and I hear that talking to you. So
it's just the little things you can do, and I'll listen to what yours are and see what you've got going on.
Yeah. Okay. So we're moving on here. So nutrition deficit that's happening. So I put this slide together. It's not really a totally perfect slide. Don't take those numbers to heart there. But the short of it is that nutrients in food have gone down 38% since the 1950s, right? And if we go down to this little purple line down here, really it's this over farming and soil depletion, right? So I kind of, the reason that we need to detox is because the nutrients aren't in the food. We're not eating the right food. We're stressed, and that is eating up our nutrients as well as causing the nutrients to not be absorbed and digested well. We're internally having, dysfunction in our GI tract, dirty blood, stagnation. We're living in the green up there, the toxic suit, 1970s. Don't listen to that number. I just kind of threw that in there. And then you're about to hear about the food exposure. That's going to scare you. I'm sorry. And then the last thing here is that, those nutrients, that they're particularly the big ones that are super important to drive all these other pathways, keep us energized and strong: calcium, iron, phosphorus, and riboflavin. So, Michele and I were talking about this, and that's why we brought this slide in, because I started talking about this different aspect, and she's like, Sheila, let's get specific. So anything here that you want to add in about this, hon?
I appreciate you putting that slide together. Having that visual is really helpful to me to see kind of the timeline, and you can see that starting in the 60s and 70s, the obesity rate went up. And in my mind, that's the liver saying, I cannot process everything right now. And then they shove it in the hallway closet of the fat cell just to get it out of the way for the moment so that they can deal with what else is coming in right then. So I think your timeline's right on, even though you said ignore the numbers. I think it's right. If you see the beach photos of the people playing on the beach, and then the percentage of the now chubby ones playing on the beach.
Right. And actually my daughter brought it up. She's in a psychology class last night, and she was like, babies are being born with more fatty tissue than they used to. And I tried to get her to say more. She wouldn't, because she knew I was going to want to go off on a tangent. She didn't want to talk about nutrition or whatever in that moment.
You were going to do speech 398, where you just, she's heard it before.
I was definitely going to turn it into a teaching moment for sure.
Yep.
She knows how to shut me down, though, for sure. So let's see. I'm just going to pause for a second
Well,
here.
and along that same line, there are more and more of the babies born with the toxicities in the cord blood, even though the mother had no knowledge of exposure of something to her. So it's just out there. And even the poor children who are being born today are not born with a clean slate. They're, hence the extra fatty tissue, because even their livers are tired before they even get here.
Yep. So hint, nudge, liver health. The other thing I'll just bring in here real quick too is, like, there's a ton of information out there. I know you already know a lot about this, and Michele and I are trying to hit on different aspects that aren't always being talked about. Like I said, this is a huge subject, and there's a lot to talk about with it. And, we're trying to kind of dial in really the big why. So let's keep moving here. And, as Michele said earlier, and this was hugely in my nutrition program, the amount of chemicals released in the environment annually, and currently it's around 4 billion pounds.
Wow.
And when I was in nutrition school, they had some statistic that 25,000 new chemicals were being developed each year. So it's across the board. The simple things that I want to say right here are that, as many of you know, right, it's in your mattress, it's in your carpet, it's in the paint, it's in children's sleepwear.
That's
right?
what I was going to say.
Yep. It's in our bubble gum. It's in our, as you're going to see in a moment, our food sources. It's in our women's beauty product. And that's a big one. That's a big one that we're actually at higher risk for external toxicity, because of the amounts of things that we use on our locks, on our skin, etc. And so don't get me started on sunscreen, but
choose a clean one. Well,
yeah.
and even the kids' pajamas kind of fascinates me. The whole thing is that they're making them fireproof, and you're affecting every child that way, rather than, well, let's just keep them out of the fire. Um, yeah. Anyway.
And it's really hard, right? As a mother that just raised a little child, when you go into Walmart to buy a couple of things that in my area I can't get them at any other store because those stores don't exist right up here on the mountain. So I had to go into Walmart. I tried not to take her. But you know, she saw those fun, you know, jammies that had all of the Disney characters, right? And it was really hard to keep her out of them. So I
Right.
would wash them 3 times before I let her wear them. So that's my hint for
That's
you.
the best you can do, is to try and clean them up as best
Yeah,
you can. I never wear clothes that have not been washed. I just,
yeah, ditto,
yeah.
ditto. Yeah, there's a good little tip right there. Okay,
Mm.
so we are moving into, I'm sorry for this statistic here. I'm sorry for this slide, but you know, the why is that the cancer statistics up at the top here, 1 in 5 people on the planet, and some people say this is even higher, that it's, I think it's 1 in 2. I don't want to mess this up. It's like 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will get cancer. Um, and then, but here's the one that really freaks me out here. The mortality rates right now, this is current, that it's 1 in 9 men who will die once they have cancer. And for women, it's 1 in 12. So yeah, everything that I'm doing and Michele is doing with food and different nutraceuticals are supporting the pathways for your healthy cell turnover rates that in turn affect your genetic material and what are called your telomeres. And that basically the telomere that's at the end of the gene, that when that's shorter, we're towards the end of our life. And when we're healthier, it's longer and we have more life and health and robust vitality to live with. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm really up to in the cellular metabolic cleansing. That is a large portion of my program.
Somebody had likened those telomeres to the ends of shoelaces,
Yeah,
and that when you get to the end of the telomere, things start to fray.
yeah,
And then that's where we end up, getting
yeah,
towards the end, shall we say.
yeah. Great
Yeah, I
analogy.
think when I was in school, the rate was 1 in 8. And I remember being in class, at least for breast cancer, and being in class thinking I didn't know enough people with breast cancer. And,
Right.
all of a sudden that changed. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's,
It
it's
really.
an interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to go into these next places of the food, what's in our food. And, you know, it's kind of important. And Michele brought this up when we were talking about this and, you know, what we wanted to bring up. This is a brand new study. So I'm sorry to, you know, bring this to your attention. Try to release any stress or worry around this. Do release stress and worry you can. And so here's a study on chlormequat. This was published just a couple weeks ago, February 15th, 2024, reputable journal here. This is really starting to be talked about a lot with a lot of other functional medicine, health practitioners. So the short of it here is that chlormequat is a chemical, and Michele speaks really eloquently, so I'm not going to speak too much here. I'm going to let her jump in here. But it was banned. It's used in the grain and harvesting aspects, and it was banned in the US before 2018. So there's more to say here, but I'm going to let Michele jump in here for a second.
Well, yeah, I just was stunned. I just did a really quick Google search about toxic chemicals in our food, and this just popped out at me. And I just did a quick read of it and went, well, this is kind of scary and important for us to know. Try to source our food where we know best. What I get concerned about is the fact that it was the organic products that are like that still.
Yeah.
So how do we figure out what to eat? You know,
Right.
because we don't
Right.
want chlormequat in our food. So um,
Right.
yeah.
So the other pieces here are that this was we were it's not allowed to be used in the US until 2018 when the EPA gave approval for it to come in on imported grains. So it's being used, and this was the sentence that I was looking for from you, but no worries, sunshine. So it's used to help in the harvesting, and basically it makes them like a little firmer so that they harvest better. So they probably get a higher quantity. So it's used in the production of grains. And so this study that they tested 9 oat products, 20 oat products, 9 wheat, and that they found it in 7 organic products, which I
Mhm.
occasionally eat oats because they're really good for our nerves. So I don't eat carbohydrates all the time. I don't tell you to. And this is an important food source, in my opinion, in my diet. So
Mhm.
there's 2 other pieces of it that it had been banned before 2018. They gave approval. It started to get into our food sources. They started doing studies on it. By 2020, they saw higher levels of it. And then this is the really scary piece right here, is that they detected the chemical in 92% of the oat-based foods, including the 2 very common Quaker Oats and Cheerios cereal products.
And Cheerios is considered for many people to be one of the more healthy cereals.
Right.
And so a lot of kids are being fed that,
And adults.
and adults,
Yep,
of course, right? Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah, that they I had forgotten. Yes, they spray the crop in order to time the harvest. So
Right,
it's kind of like bringing on a labor a little early. They'll
right.
dry it out that way. Yeah.
Right, right. And so, on that first slide, it's talking about adverse effects for reproduction, fertility, right? And so this is in our food source. There's so many compounds and aspects that we could talk about, and I want to talk about, but I don't want to go on and on in this video right here.
Right.
Michelle and I have talked about the production of nuts, and they're being cracked. Just for instance, they're being cracked in machines, and that there's little shavings, right? In your car, in your oil, that's a problem. That's partly why you change your oil in your car, is that the machinery has little metal shavings, and then that's junking up the oil that's traveling around. Well, it's kind of the same thing with these compounds, of it's junking up our system, right? I tend to use some of those words to make it easy to comprehend and
It's
not
a
get
good picture. Yeah.
not get too sticky in it. And yeah, that is a really important analogy, that a lot of people take better care of their cars than they do of their blood, and cell health. So,
Was listening to one gentleman, and he said that he considers his body to be like the taxi cab for his soul. So he tries to really
yeah.
take a good care
Oh,
of his body so that,
oh.
yeah, he had some physical challenges, but he's like, I can do all this. It was pretty sweet the way he put it.
I love that. And that's why her and I are together, because you are brilliant and funny and smart. Okay, so here's another one. This one is the toxic chemical compounds that they studied 171 pregnant women. This is in National Institute of Health. The study was in the US and Puerto Rico over 12 years, 103 chemicals. That third line there, that they've banned, right? Is it DDT, right? They've banned all of these different compounds that we used to use. Well, they found replacement chemicals that different companies are making from those banned substances in the study in different women. And so again, this is mothers, women, chemical exposure that has numerous, I'm just gonna, for the mother and child health outcomes. So when we can get clean in our homes, in our diet, and maybe we're not clean all the time, right? Maybe we're like, I'm not like super intense. Like some people will say I'm intense of what I'm recommending. I have heard that for sure. And I call it kind of getting on and off the bandwagon of health, of that, especially, and that's what Michele and I have talked a lot about. And I look forward to hearing her viewpoint on this. But seasonally, in these shoulder seasons between the winter and the summer, the spring is so powerful. And I'm going to let her talk more about that. But for me, spring and fall, do a cleanse each season. And especially because I misbehave more in the summer than I do at any other time as I'm socializing, right?
Ah,
So yeah, so talk about like spring cleansing is amazing. So can you bring in a little bit, please?
yeah. So spring is the time of growth, of rebirth, and it's the time of year for the liver in Chinese medicine. And just as a heads up, the liver is correlated to the emotion of anger. And sometimes people will have little flits of anger that happen, um, well, during a cleanse, but also just in the spring in general. And a lot of it is because we're getting ready to have some movement to start on a new path, or maybe the same path, but a resurgence. And so all that beautiful spring green, really, you can even just, when you're out walking and you see that spring green, you can think about bathing your liver with that color. And just think of this as a good time to clear the liver up, and so that you're able to be reborn, I guess is the way to put it, even though that phrase is a little whatever, people have connotations with it, but as a way to start something anew and fresh, to
Yeah.
kind of shake off the winter and
Yeah.
move into the summer.
Yes, yes, and that's what I'm really talking about. Is the other words are renewal, regeneration, right? Because
Mhm.
we've got regrowth, right, budding on the trees. The other piece of that I talk about is when things are contractive, right? In the winter, it's more contractive. We're supposed to be slower and hibernating, right? There's less
Right.
sunlight, right? Going with the circadian rhythms of the planet, and that as we come into spring, that, like you said, it's a transitional time on the planet and for our bodies. And so it's a really good time. You can cleanse in the summer, and in my opinion, it's not as quite as easy on you as in the shoulder season. I'm sure we could debate that, and I'm going to leave it there. So
Well,
um,
it's your personal experience. You've done this many times and in many seasons. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, what do we have here? Okay, so the benefits, right, of when we come into a time of renewal for ourselves in our lifestyle, in our diet, in our mindset. We really have all of these amazing benefits here. And, the biggest thing is increasing energy is going to drive the rest of our lives of whatever we're wanting to have fun, play in, accomplish, be connected with others, having more energy. And the side benefit is that what I'm teaching and Michele is teaching is that it's improving. There's so many multiple side benefits that improve your whole health and decrease disease, right? Preventative health is really what we're up to. So I'll let you jump in here, Michele, and not hog the whole slide here.
No, that's all right. You can see me kind of getting eager. The energy, I just want to point out that, yeah, energy so that you can jump on the beach like that. But we're back to the mitochondria, really having that cellular energy. And painless living in Chinese medicine, qi is the energy of the body, and the liver is in charge of the free flow of that qi. If you're in pain, the qi is stuck. So getting that moving again, which really, it's really helpful not to be going through life with a backpack full of, a bunch of rocks trying to move about. So clearing all that out, really helpful to be able to have more movement, and movement begets painless living. So.
Right. Yeah, and I know, you're going to be talking soon about mood and diet, and there's a bonus of we're going to be talking about Alzheimer with another friend of mine, and so we're talking about your mood, and we're also talking about support of your brain in everything that I'm up to in Vitality Unleashed. So, longevity, that we are living longer lives. I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
No, you're good.
Okay. We're living longer lives. We're able to have more fun and stay active. And, that's what we want for you. We want to keep movement and allow you to really be pursuing, right? We have so much more potential for self-actualization in our world, in our societies than we used to. And more people are doing that. That's who I'm supporting in my Pilates studio, of people staying active and having fun for many more years than they used to be able to.
Well, and that's a good point, that it's not just about living longer, it's living longer, happy and moving and truly living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Living how you want to live, right? And not being entrapped by our health. Yeah. So
exactly.
I know there was something that I thought of at the very beginning that I wanted to circle back to. And I think it's just that you can do this on your own at home. You don't need us. And both of us bring incredible wealth of experience, education, and support. In doing this, and a lot of tips and tricks to make things easier. And I remember at the very beginning, when I lost my train of thought, part of the reason for a lot of the aspects that I do in the program is that we are running at a deficit. Like, we look whole and we're missing things. I know I always use the nose. I don't know why.
We're missing the tip of our nose, are we?
We're not. And we are inside. Like, we're missing these vital nutrients, right? Selenium, right? Manganese, magnesium, right? We are deficient, right? I know you're hearing about this out there in the news. And so the 7 I like to talk about as a big motivator for people, the 7 stages of disease. And the problem is that those things are happening, right? Your rashes are symptoms, right? The cysts are symptoms, right? The joint pain is a symptom. The acne is a symptom. The weight is a symptom of inflammation, dysfunction, dirty blood, mitochondrial dysfunction. And so the sooner we can get after that, the sooner we can turn it around. And the big piece, this is the key thing, it took me a minute to get there, is that a lot of times, like, yes, just food, and yes, the lifestyle, like, yes, that is your foundation. And a lot of times it takes more nutrients to overcome these dysfunctional pathways. In my opinion, Michele might argue differently with me. But, and this is coming from functional medicine doctors that I study with, that I go to personally, is that No, I don't want super nutrients for you all the time. And sometimes to overcome these dysfunctional pathways and these disease pathways, we need a lot more nutrients to stop that, train or that highway that's driving in a direction that we don't want it to drive.
Right. Oh, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
she
No,
liked how I
no.
said that. Yay.
Yeah, no,
Okay. Okay.
that's great way to put it. I
Okay.
do
Okay.
want
So,
to point out that we've gone a little bit over our time, and I
yes,
want to
I
make
know.
sure that we honor
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, yes, but I think there's still a couple more slides. Is that
Oh,
right?
just one more slide. And I was just going to say
Okay.
that. Sorry, we're at like
Oh,
50
we're
minutes here.
perfect.
Yeah, and so we're wrapping up. Thanks for being here. If you made it this far, you are committed. Celebrate yourself. Pat yourself
Yeah.
on the back. You are already making amazing strides. Keep doing those, whether you jump in with me or Michelle or somebody else in the future. Like, you're already doing it. And let us know if you have questions, if we can support you, if
We
you're
can be of
interested in
any help.
Vitality Unleashed. And then the last slide here is number one: drink pure, good water, right? That's key, of
Mhm.
filtering the water. And then the other piece is trying to drink half of your body weight in ounces each day, because it takes water to process everything else in your body, in my opinion, besides herbal tea. The two things that are hydrating are herbal tea and water.
Mhm.
Sometimes some people need a little salt in their water. That's another conversation. And it's first thing in the morning when you wake up. It's when you feel tired. It's when you're hungry, because when you're hungry, you're probably dehydrated. And then the other one is that it's going to help you sleep better. So, anything you want to add in here?
Two things. One, when you say salt, you mean one of the Himalayan or sea salt or something, a natural salt, not the,
Correct.
the girl with the rain
Not,
umbrella.
yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of.
yeah, yeah.
And then,
No,
oh, I had another thought. What was it? Oh, I was listening to this sweet nurse out of Australia, of all things, speaking to water, and she wanted to point out, and Chinese medicine feels the same way. Do not drink your water during your meal. You don't want to water down your stomach acid. So she actually spoke to the fact that she wouldn't give her children their lunch unless they had their water a half hour before. So she insisted that they all had their glass of water, wait a half hour, and then you can have your meal. So
yes.
I have been, I don't usually drink water at my meal, but
Right.
being mindful that I have the glass before the meal has helped me to increase the water. I need a trigger to say when to drink it. And trying to drink 32 ounces all in one shot, not what we're talking about here. It's more, when she says a glass of water, it's 8 ounces even, or even half that, if that's what's more comfortable. But doing that consistently. I think
Yeah.
I've said enough now.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
I teach
you.
those things. That's in the program, and I really, it's first thing in the morning, because that's going to get things moving in your system. We've been detoxifying and processing overnight, and we really need to flush those things out. That's the gallbladder liver window in the middle of the night. So to me, really first thing in the morning and throughout the day. And then for me with small bladder syndrome, not at night. So yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with that. Yeah.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
want to wake in the night to have to get up and go. So better to do it
yeah,
early in the day.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being
Well,
here with us, you
oh,
guys.
thank you
And
too
yeah,
for everything that you've shared.
ditto, ditto. You're a blessing. And I just love hearing you talk about this. I could hang out with you for many hours. So thanks for being here, Michelle. Thanks for
Mm.
being here. Get a hold of us, talk to us, take care of yourself. Have a blessed day.
Take care.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.